Hello and welcome to the Divorce Advocate, divorce support for dads, where we help dads create a healthy and less traumatic divorce. My name is Jude and I'm your host. This month is Suicide Awareness Month, September, and today we're going to be talking about divorced dads and suicide. But before we get into that, just a reminder that the divorce quiz is still up at the website under the divorce quiz tab. It's an excellent tool to help you to gauge where you're at in the divorce. It'll take about 5-10 minutes for you to go through the questions and give you some immediate results. You can find that at the website at thedivorceadvocate.com or directly at thedivorcequiz.com. And also, the app is out, a great resource to find everything The Divorced Advocate and connects with the entire community, as well as get some great resources and courses for you to work through. And you can find that and download it at thedivorceadvocateapp.com. Again, that's the divorceadvocateapp.com. You can download that to Apple or Android. So check out those two resources. They're just very beneficial. All right, let's talk a little bit about divorced dads and suicide. This has been an episode I've been wanting to record for a couple of weeks. I had recently got news that a good friend of mine had drank himself to death, and while that's not necessarily considered suicide, that's one of those things where we know that given life circumstances, doing something like that is basically a slow suicide, and so that's struck me a little bit over the last couple of weeks and has put me off from recording this episode. Mostly because in working with the guys that I work with and all of you dads and some of you that are listening, it's very evident the difficulty and pain that goes through our minds during this process and getting through divorce. And I know it was incredibly emotional and difficult for me during it. And one of the fallacies out there is that guys rebound quickly from the breakup of relationships and divorce, et cetera. We just get on with it. If anything, I would posit that it strikes us a little bit harder and takes us a little bit longer to get through, particularly us and those of you listening. I'm sure this is true of you, ones that want to really internalize and understand what it was that impacted our relationship and why it did not work out. And so part of this process and much of how the process is structured in the courts and the end results are very difficult and challenging for dads to get through. And unfortunately, dads are 10 times almost, well, it depends on the statistic you listen to, but dads are up to 10 times more inclined to commit suicide than divorced moms. And we already know that men are, the suicide statistics around men are astronomical and unbelievably disheartening and sad in general. But divorced dads are a very specific and unique niche that we don't talk about, most don't talk about, and their tendency to have higher rates is even greater. And so what I wanted to talk about today are some of the specific reasons that some speculate as to why divorced dads will commit suicide, and then also share with you, having been down this road almost a decade after, why it can be those reasons are false, and why your life can be even better based upon those decisions or based upon those particular circumstances. And if you can get through these difficult times, that your life can expand. Now, before we jump into this, I just want to say, if any of you are contemplating suicide, that please call somebody, because if you can talk about it, then you don't have to do it. And if you have to keep talking about it and you have to keep calling somebody in order to not do it, please don't. And I'm going to give you my direct cell phone number right now. And if this is a thought that's going through your mind, please call me or send me a text. And that number is 720-255-1021. Again, that number is 720-255-1021. All right, let's talk about some reasons potentially that divorced dads will commit suicide. And the one, and I think probably the top one that I see in talking to guys, and these thoughts go through a lot of guys' minds that don't actually go through it. And I'll be honest, that I've thought about things like this too. What it would be like if I wasn't around, and would it really matter? And so everybody has these thoughts. So just also know that everybody has these sad, depressed thoughts. That's not uncommon, particularly during an emotionally difficult and challenging time like you're going through right now. And so this top one is the alienation and estrangement from children. This is incredibly difficult, and I work with many dads that are experiencing this right now. Many dads who have not seen their children for over a year because of some specific circumstances or some alienation that's happening through their exes with whatever reason. It could be mental illness and disordered personalities or whatever it might be, but for some reason they've been able to keep the children from their fathers. And first off, I along these lines, I just want you to know that and this is supported by all kinds of research and all kinds of statistics, that the number one determining factor of success for children in their adulthood is that they have a father involved in their lives. So I want you to know that you are unbelievably important to the success of your children, and for your children to be having a healthy, happy life and a healthy, happy adulthood. So whatever you might be challenging, whatever alienation and estrangement, not seeing your kids, just know that even if they're acting out against you because they're having to survive whatever circumstance they're at, that they do love you and that they absolutely, positively need you. I know that I worked through some of this personally myself, and I've worked with many men. And just to give you an example, there are clients that I've worked with who, once they've got their children into therapy or reintegration therapy, and they thought that their children just hated them. And we just talked about this on our group call this Saturday, that one of the guy's sons hates him. But what he's finding, and what I found oftentimes, is that the kids don't hate them. They're needing to survive whatever circumstances. So they're having to act like that. So just know that your children deeply love you and deeply, deeply need you. So this alienation and estrangement from your kids can be temporary. You just have to continue to fight for seeing your kids and being involved in their lives. And it is a battle and a fight worth taking on. Absolutely, positively. Do not give up hope. And that fight might just be as simple as trying to just continue to keep communication or get communication with them, or it might be the bigger battle of being able to see them 50 or more, or full custody if it's a circumstance where that's necessary. So just know that it is absolutely critical that you stay in their lives. Another one is, and I didn't put these in any particular order, just kind of my stream of thought, financial ruin. Divorce is a no-win financially for everybody. That's just a given. If you just do the math, when you separate two households, and then when you separate one household and you create two households and two different lives, there's going to be two separate bills and one or two incomes that were supporting one household are now supporting two. Just by doing the math, you can say that it's going to be an economic no-win for everybody. But that is just the nature of divorce. But what oftentimes can happen, what can be challenging, is particularly if we're the main breadwinner and we're the sole person that's paying any money for this, is it becomes a very difficult and challenging financial strain. And the courts are not really set up and structured to deal with times of downturns. If you have a business or if you lose a job, et cetera, you still are expected and responsible for that. And oftentimes men feel like they have no hope around that. What they had hoped for and what they had built is no longer possible. And I can promise you that if you can work through this and you can get through it, and you can start to see that you can handle this financial challenge down the years, that things can begin to expand. You can begin to rebuild, and you can begin to have a different life. Now, it might not be the life that you had anticipated or expected, but that is kind of how life is in general. Not to diminish that at all, but that is kind of how life is, that your life can be better and your finances can actually begin to improve. There's many guys that get on our group calls that say, oh my God, once I got divorced and I was able to really work through the issues I needed to, learn to become focused as a father in the time that I'm being a father, but then also at my work when I was working, I've never had a better year in my life. And I just heard that it wasn't this last meeting, but the meeting before, one of the guys was sharing with us a little bit about the phenomenal year that he just had, and he was just past a year or two divorced. So it absolutely positively can get better. It might not seem like that when you're thinking about it just from a number standpoint, because it is going to be an economic, a financial strain, but it can definitely get better. Another one is losing the entire structure of family life and home. This was a huge, huge one for me. I had always thought about and dreamed of being a father, being married, having a house, having kids, having that whole having that whole structure and that whole family life. And I loved it. And I enjoyed it. It was something that I had built, right? Something that I put together, I had vision, and I had it. And then all of a sudden it went away. And so having that identity and having all of something that you had believed in and built, and then all of a sudden it's not there anymore, does weigh on your psyche. And for me, it weighed heavily on my psyche. But again, I can tell you that it can get better. I would never imagine the phenomenal relationship that I have with my daughters now. It is so rich and is so deep, and potentially, and there's no way obviously for me to judge, but potentially that could not have been as rich and as deep as it is now without having gone through the specific challenges of divorce that we all went through and that we all experienced and that we all worked through. And so just know that the life, like I said in the financial ruin, the life after and the life that you create after can potentially be even better than the one that you had envisioned at the time. So again, it's hard when you're going through it. It might not seem like that, but the only thing you can control, and we talk about this all the time, is your emotions and working through it. Now, that's a different topic I'm not going to get into, but I just want to give you hope that losing the structure of the family and the life and the home that you thought you were going to have can lead to something bigger and better. It could also even lead to another relationship that is healthier and better, and a blended family that is even better than the one that you had imagined. So that's also another opportunity on the back end. This is another one, is character assassination. And we get this, we get this oftentimes from women who are exes who may have some kind of disordered personality, or they're just upset or vindictive or angry, and they're assassinating our character. And if we're involved in the community, and if we're in businesses or a church, and that starts to permeate, and we just never know who's going to believe what and what's going to get out there and what people are going to do and what people are going to say, because people are people, then sometimes this weighs very heavily on us and our psyche, because we know that it's not true, but there's nothing we can do to control how it gets out. And so, in the age of this age of cancel culture, and people want to just be black and white about things, this happens quite often, and it can lead us to feel like we have no hope, that our good character and our good moral fiber and our good name is being disparaged, and that there's going to be no coming back from this. But even if, and so this is the flip side of it, even if you are losing friends, or even people are taking sides, or even if they are, unfortunately, and hopefully they aren't judging you and being judgmental, that the people that really are healthy and have a well-developed understanding of how to approach these things are the ones that will stay beside you, that will talk through it with you, and will continue to be your friends. And that includes family members too. The ones who are not, that want to do all those things I just described, which is be judgmental and take sides and disparage you and not be helpful and loving, they are going to go and they're going to fall by the wayside. And while this might be difficult and challenging, just know that there are bigger and better and deeper friendships that will arise out of this on the backside of it as you start to rebuild your life and then not only rebuild, but then create the life that you want post-divorce. So I have some of the deepest, greatest friendships that I'll have for the rest of my life post-divorce. And a lot of friendships that I thought would be like that prior to divorce have completely gone away. And that's somewhat just kind of the cycle of life. But during divorce, I feel like it might just be exasperated and it might make us feel like there's nobody here that's going to stick with us. But just know that this character assassination is not a reason for you to feel like there's no hope. There is definitely hope, because you can build bigger, better, deeper, more loving relationships after. The next one is a really, really big one of why these suicidal thoughts might go through a divorced dad's mind, and that is no support. And we talk about it all the time on the show in not isolating yourself. And we get into these family dynamics where we may have just not continued to keep our friendships as strong as they should be, or let our friendships go, or all of our friendships are wrapped up in our family dynamics and with our exes. And so that then sometimes becomes difficult when that whole dynamic stops, and then you have a new one where you're separate from your family anymore, and you feel like you have no support. You feel like maybe family members aren't there, friends aren't there, et cetera. And so absolutely positively get the support you need. Surround yourself with other people. That's why I have built this divorced advocate community. We have men that are coming and talking every week, new ones in the group meetings every week, new ones that get on the social media and share, that are listening and sharing this podcast, that contacts me, we're doing work together. Just whatever the support is that you need, you can get. And I'm promising you, we had a guy on the call on the call this Saturday that said, well, I don't really have anybody and I'm embarrassed to talk to people about it. You're going to be amazed how much support there is out there for you when you start to tell people that you're going through a divorce. With more than 50% of marriages ending in divorce, there are a ton of people that have been divorced or are going through divorce. So you're going to be amazed the number of people that say, oh yeah, me too, or yeah, I've been through it, or oh, I'm so sorry about that. Let's talk about it, etc. There is a ton of support out there now. We can find it, and if you have the means to find therapy or coaching, that's great support. At the very least, get involved, find a friend or a family member or a church community or a 12-step group or something that can give you some of that support that you need. It is out there, and it is absolutely life-changing. I talk about my work in Codependence Anonymous for the years that I was involved, and I still hit meetings once in a while. It was absolutely life-changing to help me to understand and learn and just really get through and process the ending of the relationship and how to go on and have much healthier relationships. So get that support. There is absolutely positively support. And you have all the divorced advocate information and community information and all the show notes here, and you can get plugged in and get the help you need. The next one is that you go from dad to visitor or him or babysitter, or really no title at all. And so this kind of runs in conjunction with the alienation and estrangement from children. But for many, many decades now, it has been kind of the mentality that's we're having visitation. I hate that word. It's not visitation. We're never visiting with our children, right? And we're never babysitting our kids, and we never stop being a parent. So that's not true. You are always their father. You will always be their father. And no matter what amount of time that you spend with them, if that's you have them full time, or if you're just getting to see them once in a while, or even if you haven't been able to see them, you're always going to be their father. And so you're not just a visitor. You're not just a babysitter. You are their father. And again, getting involved with their life and continuing to fight to be involved with their life is the most important thing you can possibly do. Now, fortunately, I'll say the courts and society in general are really starting to change this mindset. You're starting to see the language change a lot from visitation to parenting time, right? That makes more sense. That's a much better phrase, if you will, because you're parenting and it's the time that you're parenting with your kids. And again, it doesn't matter what amount that is. You are their parent and you're parenting. So it's not visitation. It's not custody because you're not possessing them. It's not anything other than you being a father to them. So just know, and just know also that deep in their hearts, no matter what, you are their father and you have an important part to play. So that's one that slowly I see changing. And so if you're thinking that, I'm just the part-time dad, or I'm just the babysitter, I'm just there, that is absolutely positively not true. And so the last one I'm going to talk about is actually the first step we talk about in my private practice when I'm working with divorced or divorcing dads. And that is that you feel like you have no future. And our first step is creating a vision and direction for your future. And so this kind of plays directly into our masculinity, because as I talked about before with losing the family structure and the life, this may be of something we have envisioned and we have worked towards and put great effort to and built and we're successful in doing it. And then when this happens, it all falls apart and we feel like there's no future. Everything that we've done is for naught. I feel like I'm a part-time dad. I feel like I'm an ATM. I feel like my kids don't care. They don't want to see me. I'm financial strapped. Like all these reasons that I just stated, to where we could have these suicidal thoughts, run into this lack of drive for what the future can be, or that we don't have a future. But again, and I encourage any of you listening to jump on one of these group calls that we have on the second and fourth Saturday of the month, because we get guys showing up and we talk about this stuff all the time. And we get guys that are just contemplating divorce to guys that have been through it and have been post-divorce for a decade. And you can hear from the guys that have been post-divorce from a decade that there is a better life 2.0. We call it 2.0, your life 2.0 after divorce, your second life. And you'll hear the stories from the guys, not just from me blabbing like I do on this podcast and in the meetings, but you'll hear from all kinds of other guys. Some of these guys have been on these group meetings for a couple of years, have been through the process. And like the guy said about, he's been divorced about a year and had his best financial year in business ever. You're going to hear these stories too. And that's part of getting the support and surrounding yourself with other guys, because there is a better future, not just a future, there is a better future. And I know that might be challenging to hear when I just listed everything that I listed and all these thoughts that are going through our mind and all the difficulty and challenges and chaos that you're going through, or that we're going through during divorce. But that's also why it's critical, and that's the first step in my work with guides, and also with the Dad's Guide to Divorce. If you read that, is creating the vision and direction. Because as men, our masculine nature is to have that vision and direction, have a goal, and to be working through and working towards something. So that's something you can work on. Excuse me, it's something we can work on privately. It's something you can just get with your therapist or get with a friend and start working on what you want that future to be. And you can start with just small steps. So the first one can just be something simple that you're going to spend some time with your kids and spend some quality time with your kids. It could be something where you just want to get your health improved, or you just want to get out of bed earlier every day. Whatever that might be, you can't have a better future. It's just going to take one small step at a time. So just find one goal, one intention, set that for today, and then just start building upon that. And there's many podcasts where we talk about that and some of these steps before. Also, take the divorce quiz, and that'll kind of help you to kind of gauge where you're at with it. Runs in line with a little bit of all of what we talked about, but it helps in 7 different categories of where you might be mentally and emotionally, which areas you're doing well and which areas you might be struggling. And then there's a free opportunity for you to schedule some time with me for us to review all of those things. So I highly encourage taking that divorce quiz. It is incredibly helpful. Hundreds of thousands of people have taken it and found some value in it. So check that out at thedivorcequiz.com or at the website under the Divorce Quiz app. All right. So again, gentlemen, I know this is a difficult, challenging time, but your children absolutely positively need you to stay the course and to be strong. So if you're having suicidal thoughts, talk to somebody about them. Call Suicide Prevention Hotline. Call me at 720-255-1021. Get some help. Reach out to somebody. If you can talk about it, you don't have to do it. Keep reaching out. Keep talking. Be strong. You were designed to be strong. Get through this and take care of your children. Thanks for listening. If you found some value, please share this far and wide. Put it on social media. Take one moment. Give us a star rating. That would be really helpful. One step from that would be give us a star rating and leave us some comments as well. And that goes a long ways in helping other people find the podcast and be inclined to listen to it and get the help that they need. Thanks so much. I will talk to you next week, and God bless.